Typically, when you think about sports, you think about basketball, football, hockey, baseball, and so many different sports. But one of my favorite sports to ever play is actually bowling. And yes, it's a sport. Today, I'll be talking about equipment, different techniques, and my personal experience with bowling. With equipment, people usually use just one bowling ball, the ones at the bowling alley that they provide for you. But professionals use up to 8 different types of bowling balls sometimes in tournaments. But there are 4 main types of bowling balls out there. Usually it's plastic, urethane, reactive resin, and particle or proactive bowling balls. A plastic ball will have the least amount of hook when you throw it with the spin, and that's because on the inside it's really nothing to have it hook, and the outside is coated in some kind of shiny stuff. I don't really know what it's called, and it will not hook down the lane, and it's usually used for spares. And the next one is urethane ball. A urethane ball is kind of like a plastic ball with a matte finish, and it can be used as a spare ball as well, but it's harder down the lane because it'll hook in the dry areas because of the matte finish. Next is reactive resin, which is the ball you use to strike with because of how much it can hook. So in a bowling ball, there's an engine, and it can determine how much hook it gives on a scale from 1 to 10. And with a scale, since on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being least amount of hook and 10 being the most amount of hook. And usually pros use around like an 8 or a 7 because they can control it very well, but a 10 is just too much down the lane. And the last one is a proactive ball. And a proactive ball can be confusing because when you throw it down the lane and it's oily, it'll grab the lane, which is weird. So it's pretty hard to use, and not a lot of people use it, but it helps when the lanes are too oily and everything. In bowling, there are a lot of different techniques that work for a lot of different people. Most of the time, when you see people bowling, they used to use their right hand or left hand, and it really works for most people. But there's a new technique out there that uses your 2 hands, which is kind of weird, but it works. So with 2-handing, it will give you more power and more spin down the lane. But there are some pros and cons with both of those techniques. With just regular one-handed bowling, some pros are you're more accurate with the ball, and you're more accurate, so you can put the ball where you want it to go, of course. But some cons with it is you'll lose a lot of ball speed and power, and the more power that hits the pins, the better you'll strike. And some pros and cons for 2-handed bowling, some pros are you'll get more power, you'll get more spin, and you'll mostly strike half the time when you hit the pocket. But a con is you're not really accurate because since you're using 2 hands, you have to like focus on your right hand following through, which that can be hard sometimes. But for example, there are 2 different types of pros. Not 2 different types. There are 2 pros out there. Their names are Norm Duke and Jason Belmonte. Norm Duke is he's pretty old, so he plays a very straight line down the middle. So he doesn't hook the ball that much, but he's so accurate and he will always hit the pins right when he needs to. But Jason Belmonte, he bowls 2-handed, and he gets a lot of power and a lot of spin, but sometimes he can miss right or left because of the lanes and how his ball speed can react. But both of these bowlers are very accomplished. Norm Duke has over 40 titles, 7 majors, and Jason Belmonte has 24 titles and 12 majors, and will probably go down as the best bowler of all time. So obviously, I've been bowling my whole life. As a kid, my mom used to always take me to the bowling alley when I was bored. But I started taking it seriously when I was 16 and a sophomore in high school. Me and a couple buddies of mine thought it would be fun to join our school's bowling team, and we really didn't think we'd take it seriously in the beginning, but I fell in love. So after practicing for a long time, I actually went to state my sophomore year, the first time I started bowling, and got 9th in the state. So I was pretty happy with that. But sadly, I didn't go to state my junior or senior year because the competition got way better as the older I got. And I actually bowled 2-handed, and this is my bowling ball. It is made by Storm, and it's called Lock. So me being 2-handed, you only put 2 fingers in the hole, So it's legit just like that. This hole is just for balance, and you'll hold like this, and then you'll just follow through with it. And the reason why you only put 2 fingers in is because down the lane it'll be a lot better because it'll hook more and you won't get pushed down the lane more. In conclusion, bowling isn't the first sport you think of, but in my opinion, it's one of the funnest activities and sports you can play. I love how it can be challenging. I love when people just think it's just throwing a ball down the lane, but it's much more than that. It comes down to your equipment, accuracy, and overall, just having fun at the end of the day. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.